You're on, Jeremy.
Hey Frank, how are you?
Doing well, man.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. We're doing our first Google Hangout here with Frank from Viral Marketing, and my name is Jeremy Bowers over here at Coldwell Banker Preferred. And we're going to be doing this once a month on the second Tuesday of each month. And we're going to be sharing ideas, sharing things that other people won't share. And our goal is to increase your business. I don't care where you work. Frank doesn't care where you work. We believe we can get some more business out there. We all can benefit and help the community and give back. So I just want to quick introduce Frank. I met Frank years ago at a Mike Ferry retreat, and he's been a big help to me with some of my efforts here on online marketing. And I just want to share some ideas of how to grow your internal business today. How can you get more business from your center of influence?
Great.
So Frank, my first question to you is, what do you think the people's biggest obstacle in getting referrals from friends? What's our biggest obstacle, you think?
Yeah. Well, the biggest obstacle, without any question, is showing up with value where you don't feel needy. Is when you contact your past clients and your centers of influence and the people that how do you not show up being needy? And the only way that you can do that is you have to show up with some item of value. So what I like to do, Jeremy, to kind of start things off, if that's all right for everyone here, of how to get more referrals, is I want to kind of go through this simple marketing plan to build, work, and nurture a database. So if you want to get more referrals, you have to be committed to building a database, you have to nurture it, and then you have to work it for business. So the question is, how do you actually go about doing that? And I want to spend some time today with Jeremy of going through saying, okay, if someone wants to get more referrals from your list, how do you do that? And the question under, why don't people get more business from the database is not showing up a value, is because we're not nurturing it right, which is that second step. So you have to build a database, you have to nurture it, and then you have to work it proactively with your business. And a lot of people will skip number 2, which is the nurturing part, to show value, or they just go straight in for business, and it's very uncomfortable. You sound like a salesperson, and that's what people don't necessarily want. So I can share some strategies on that for you today. Is there anything specific that you'd like to cover today as far as questions, or should I just kind of roll with the marketing plan?
Yeah, I'd like you to start off with the marketing plan, Frank.
All right, man. So let's say you want to get more business from your database. You have to commit to actually getting one in the first place and like building a list. So Jeremy, how do you teach the agents in your office to build a database? How does an agent go about doing that?
Well, first off, they have to actually make phone calls or door knocks or build relationships. And they typically are approaching about 20 people a day. And then they're taking that information, they're putting it into Excel, Top Producer, some type of form of database to keep track of it. And I teach them that because at the end of the day, when they want to retire, they can sell that database and make money off it. And over the years, they can make a lot more money if you keep track of your database. So that's the first thing they have to do when they start a boot camp real estate school.
It's of all the things you can do to sell real estate, the very first thing you have them do is to build a database.
Absolutely.
I would assume even before necessarily, so I want to talk about building the database first, and we'll talk about working it. So let's really go deep in what we got to do to build a center of influence and build a list first. Is I would assume that, yes, one, you have to go out and get new people by going out and speaking to how many people a day? How many people do you have to speak to a day do you recommend in your office?
My agent's 20 to 25 people a day is the goal.
Contacts. And are those mostly on the phone, I would think?
Phone or door.
Phone or door. Okay.
Yep.
So how many so hold on, let's go a little deeper here. How many attempts do you have to make to actually reach out to somebody that in the middle of the day when you're working you actually make a contact, meaning you have a conversation?
It all depends on what vehicle they're trying to go after. So for example, if they're going after expireds and FSBOs, they're going to crank a lot of phone calls. So most of them use Mojo Dialer, and they're typically dialing about 200 phone calls in a morning to get around 20 to 25 people. If they're calling
let's go back. 200 phone calls.
Yep.
To speak with 25 people.
Yep.
Right? So they have phone. So basically, that's a lot of either one-to-one phone calls, or you load them into some type of dialer program like mojosells.com where it dials 3 lines at once.
Yep.
To try to get you more contacts.
Yep.
So the thing is that you want to draw the difference between an attempt and a contact. I mean, you're making hundreds of attempts potentially just to be able to speak with 20, 25 people. So do you think if you're doing those number of attempts, you can probably do that in 3 to 4 hours every morning? You spend time building your database, essentially talking to people.
Viral, yeah, 2 to 3 hours with Mojo. That's what they're doing.
Okay.
That's with cold calls to expireds and FSBOs.
Okay.
And then if they're calling their center of influence or past clients, their numbers are obviously a lot less. I mean, if they're trying to talk to 20 people, they're maybe making 30 or 40 phone calls all morning to talk to 20 people, you know?
So it sounds to me it's a lot more efficient calling the people you know versus the people that you don't know.
Absolutely. The first thing I have them work on is their database. The second thing is work on your warm people. Work on the people you know instead of trying to go out and find strangers.
Hmm. So let's talk about someone brand new coming into any sales job, or in this case, real estate. You got to start with some list. And
Yep.
how do you first compile the initial people you want to reach out to? So before you go working out and go meet strangers to warm those relationships from your database, how do you actually assemble the first database to start with? And this is where a lot of things are overlooked. This is an overlooked opportunity because most people, when they start in business or real estate, will buy buyer leads, buy seller leads, do direct mail, write checks if you can afford it, borrow money to do it, right? Anything that
Yep.
kind of gets me out of having to prospect. But the reality is the number one asset that you can look for business is all the people you currently have a relationship with. So how do you actually do that? Like if I were to ask you, Jeremy, right now, well, you're probably giving me a high answer. But how many people do you know, Jeremy? Do you have a number? Do you know a number off the top of your head? How many people you know?
I mean, easily over 1,000 people. What I teach
Well,
them
you're
is,
a
huh?
you're a professional recruiter.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
mean, I better know at least over 1,000 people, you know?
yeah. I mean, you know a lot, dude. I mean, a lot of those people are gonna know who you are. But for someone starting off, you may only think, well, I only know like 3 people, 5 people, 10 people. The reality is here's what we share at Virals when someone starts and they want to build that database is you start with the existing one that you have. So you go into your phone. I got my handy iPhone here, right? And it's so great because you can go to contacts and you can sit here and you go through all the contacts in your phone and you can just export all of these to a CSV file. That's a good place to start to find someone that you may know on that list, right? The other thing is that if you're using Gmail or Outlook, you can go into Gmail or Outlook and export those contacts into a spreadsheet. You can also go to your LinkedIn. Let's say over the years you got some random connections on LinkedIn. You can go on your LinkedIn and export all of those connections as well. You can actually export your LinkedIn connections. Um, Also, too, if you're a Facebook user, there's actually a way that not everyone knows that you can actually sync up your Yahoo account. So go get a free Yahoo account to your Facebook, and you
Yep.
can extract all the email addresses, all the names of all of your Facebook friends into a CSV file. It's a little workaround. So the question is, someone comes in, you can say, look, give me your LinkedIn, give me your Facebook, give me your Gmail, give me your Outlook. Let's bring them all into one centralized database, one big spreadsheet, and then let's find out who are you going to call to ask to stay in touch with, and who are you not. So who are the people you've actually met, let's say, and who are the people you haven't. And that's where I sit back with a large bottle of wine, and I go through that list, and I put an X, and I just put an X next to all the people that I'll call, won't call, call, won't call, call, won't call, call, won't call, right? The whole, I mean, there could be thousands of people in a spreadsheet. And if I recognize the name, I put an X next to it, and if I don't, I don't. And then I sort it, and I remove all the people I'm not going to call. Then finally, I have this master list, which probably took me a day or two. It was tedious, but I got it, of everyone on this list I would arguably call, and they would know who I am, and I would consider them a quote-unquote met. That if they were to receive communication from me, they would recognize who I am. Does that make sense?
Yep, fair statement. We did it today live, Frank. We were hitting the phones with my agents. We had 12 warm leads from just
Mm-hmm.
hitting people you haven't talked to in years and introducing yourself again, and 12 really good warm leads of people looking to buy or sell. So, and it was
Oh,
going
that's
through
great.
our phones. Yep.
So let's say that you're just going to reach out to and you're going to make calls to the people that are in your existing database looking for referrals. Let's forget about like the marketing and the videos and all that for a second.
Mhm.
Let's just say you have that spreadsheet of here's all these people who I'm going to call. Now, you can't go in with the attitude that you want that these are buyers and sellers. If they happen to actually want to buy or sell a home, it's like an oh my gosh, that's a bonus. When you go to your Mets, your family, your friends, what you're doing is the attitude needs to be is you're going to them saying, hey, I want to keep you updated on what's going in the market. I'm still in the real estate business. I'm not a secret agent, as they say. I'm still in the real estate business. All right. And I was wondering if you happen to know of anybody who may be looking to buy or sell a home, because I know people who are looking to buy or sell a home. It's my job to match them up. Is there anyone that you know? And that's it. So you see how you go to that database and you look for them as like a referral source to who they know versus trying to work them individually for business. And if you call up in your real estate and you say you're in real estate, they may bring up the fact that looking to buy or sell, and it's like, oh my goodness, that's a bonus. So you're kind of going in indirectly. What do you teach your agents, Jeremy, when they call their database? What do you tell them to say?
Well, we have a script. We use scripts, and we call them captains or mayors. Reach out to your people that you can think of that can help you. And I use the example of a tree. You got a tree trunk, and most people only work with that tree trunk, but they don't work with the branches and the branches. Listen, I want to meet your friends, and then I want to meet their friends, and then their friends. And the next thing you know, your center of influence, people that you know, go from 100 to 300 because you're meeting your friends of your friends of your friends. So we really focus on their center of influence, branching out and working that out, and they make some really good money off it. So that's one of the first things we work on.
Good. Do you find there's a lot of call reluctance to calling the people that you know versus did you find other people out there that would prefer to call people they don't know or strangers over the people they know?
I think they have call reluctancy on both. Today we were calling outgoing referrals. We were calling different cities in the United States, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, New York, East Coast areas, and asking for outgoing referrals. And on those, people still have trouble calling people strangers in other areas to give them an outgoing referral for relocation business. Mm-hmm. So I think it's in anything. So you got those, you got people they know, people they don't know. The biggest thing what I've found, Frank, it's like anything in life. If you don't have confidence in yourself, you're most likely not going to do it. Agree?
I would completely agree. Is that you have to build that confidence of going and showing up that you have value. And we'll talk about that in a minute of like what are some things you can show up to the call with versus just asking for business.
Yep.
That's the nurturing part.
Yep.
But let's go back to like, you start off and you made the decision that you want to start working a database and working people and the database is important. That's your asset. We all know this. Your business is your database. All right. Yep. And if you're not working a database, you're going to be on the transaction treadmill of doing a deal and chasing the next deal and chasing the next deal and chasing the next deal. And next thing you know, you're 80 years old chasing the next deal, chasing the next deal. You want to build an asset that provides for you over time, and those are those existing relationships that provide you very easily referrals, introductions, and repeat business. So you don't have to go out and grind grind every single day. So the best day to start building a database is day one, the very first day that you decide that you're going to start reaching out to people. You might as well ask for the email address. If they're not ready to buy or sell now, ask for their email. So you start with the existing people you know, and you export everything into one big spreadsheet from all your different systems, Facebook, LinkedIn, Gmail, Outlook, your phone, like I showed you. Boom, one big spreadsheet. It's a giant mess. And then delete everyone in it that you don't consider a Met. You don't know them, delete them. There's your Mets. That's your real database. All right. Now you can get away with emailing all of them. That's fine. That's an email list. But we're talking about people that actually refer you. We're talking like your A's and your B's. Okay. So the question is, your list, whether you like it or not, is going to degrade. Your database is going to go down every day, whether you like it or not. People move. You're going to lose the battle of the mind with another realtor. People pass away and move on. People's email addresses or contact information expire. Yep. The thing is, your list, your database is going to degrade whether you can control or not. So the only thing you can control is adding to it, bringing more people in, and making sure that the names coming into the database are faster than the holes in the bucket that you can't control plugging or going out. So it's constantly growing, but it can never stop. The growth of the database can never stop because there's always holes in that bucket that you can't control of why it's going to kind of degrade over time. So you have to go out and prospect every day to find new people, which we talked about earlier. Is going out and talking to people, bring them something of value, asking for contact information, and bring them in your database. And a database is nothing more than a list of names. It's just a spreadsheet, or it's just a contact management program like Top Producer, or what's a really easy one? It could be an index file of index cards. It can even be like a simple email marketing program. You keep all your people in like an email marketing program, so it's easy to send messages to. That's easy. All right. So one of the things we have here on this Hangout, everybody, we have a little Q&A option that if you have a question, feel free to ask us about building a database, working it, nurturing it, working for business. Feel free to ask a question here on the right, and we'll get an answer here for you. So is there anything else, Jeremy, that you want to talk about maybe when it comes to establishing a database of people and building a database of people before we move on?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're creating a database, it's very, very important to actually think about the people you have in the list, but also who do they know And if you really sit down and take some time and get away from the job and really think about it, you know a lot more people than you think you do.
Hmm.
And then you got to keep track of it. You got to block time each day or each week to add people to your database. I got taught by a real estate coach, and Jeff said this is a database business. Is you got to actually be adding people on a daily basis or a weekly basis to your database, and over time it will build. It's the compound effect, right?
It is.
You know,
The more
magic.
people you have a database, the more people you have an opportunity for referrals, and then when you add some technology to it, which we're going to talk about, you go from word of mouth. I'm sorry, word of mouth to word of mouse.
I like that, Frank.
Yeah. And then when you start kind of following this marketing plan to a database, here's another one. I got another good one for you. Is when you start, instead of just going out and grinding all day long making cold calls, which is totally fine, but if you kind of change your attitude a little bit, where it's like, I'm going to go out and meet people, bring them into my database, nurture and work my database, and then work those for referrals, just that little bit of a mental shift.
Yep.
What you find is you go from at times being the annoying pest to the invited guest. Those are my two cheesy lines for today, everybody.
I like it.
All right. So that's what we got to do. We have to go out and we have to, build a list of people that working for referrals. Let's talk about nurturing that list now. Let's move on. So we talked about building the database.
Yep.
We have to start with the people that you know, get that together, and then we have to have a commitment to go out every day and go meet new people, ask for their contact information in exchange for educating them and staying in touch, which we're going to talk about now, and then bring them into your database so you have a list of names of people who know you. And he or she who has a larger list of names of people that know them tend to make more money, or the quality of the people on that list, tend to make more money. All right. So nurturing. What do you teach your agents, Jeremy, to nurture the contacts in their existing database?
So our favorite way to get business is from our center of influence as the #1 source for our agents. And then down the list could be FSBOs, expireds, door knockings, but the #1 thing is how to nurture your database, right? So the first thing what we do is we have to teach them how to build value. Don't be that annoying pest that you talked about. We're going to send them value. So each month, some will send an email, some will send direct mail, whichever it is, whatever they're doing, it's going to have value. I highly recommend what you've taught me, the video side, get in front of them. But no matter what it is, it's got to be some form of value in front of them. And what most agents don't realize is if you don't stay in front of your center of influence or sphere of influence, the people you know, they'll forget about you. And the next thing you know, when they're at work and someone's talking about buying a house, they're not referring you. So the more you stay in front of them with value and not annoying stuff, the more that they'll refer you out. And if they know you're appreciative of it, they'll give you more referrals. So we work on that. That's probably one of the first things we work on after building a database here at Boot Camp in our 12-session training.
Yeah, is what do you send them? And that's why I want to go into deeper some of the different options depending upon your budget of what you want to send the people in your database. Usually, so here at Viral Marketing at our company, we help you do this stuff. But it's funny, what motivates someone to pick up the phone and say, I'm ready to buy a nurture program or do nurturing. And usually a couple things happen. Are you ready? It's a past client that they worked with that they thought they had a great relationship with that listed with a competing agent. And they found out about it, right? The other one was a lead that came in. They were talking to the lead and they thought everything was good. And then they listed the home with somebody else because they weren't, doing their due diligence on lead follow-up and someone else beat them to the punch, right? Also, when you look at a lot of top producers' businesses, profitable top producers that are not, spending all the money they're earning, you realize and you look at it, maybe on the surface when we do these hangouts, they talk about this cool thing, that cool thing, here are those cool things I'm doing, but really beneath the surface, the iceberg is like 40, 50, 60% of all their business is coming from repeat and referral they've acquired maybe over 3, 4, 5 years they've been in business, and usually it's the less, sexy part of it, but it's a big part of it is that referral and repeat. So let's go on to touching the database. And I think as we had a good question on that here, is Kim asks, is there any research data on what is most effective in email, direct mail, or phone calls? And my answer to you, Kim, would be is the phone calls, hands down, without question, is the most effective. But it's the email and the direct mail that backs it up and gives you a reason to call. Got it? So let's talk about what you recommend for the number of times, Jeremy, someone should be touching their Mets a year. And then maybe let's talk about, what medias they should use. Email, Facebook, text, pop by, knock on the door, phone call. We talk about that. And then we'll talk about the messaging as far as what the messaging should be. So I got the messaging handle. I know what you should say. I got really good on that. Well, how many times would you recommend you need to stay in touch with your database? How many touches a year does someone need to remain top of mind so you don't lose out the battle to some other realtor?
So when I sold real estate, we were doing around 150 transactions a year. 70% of our business came from referrals, and then 20% was FSBOs, and a mix was expireds and a couple other things. But what we did is we talked to people typically around 30 times a year through different vehicles. I've taught my agents, multiple different things. Number one, I'm a big fan of what you're doing right now and having 2 videos a month of value. So that would be 24 soft touches a year there. I would be at least doing 4 phone calls a year. If they're a top referring person, a referring buyer or seller of your clients, I'd be calling them more than 4 times a year. Let's just say 4 times 24, it's 28. Then I'd be sending them a little bit of mail, maybe 4 times a year. And then I would be sending them a holiday card, but I would not be sending them a holiday card during your normal holidays. I would be sending them a card when no one else is sending them a card, like at the beginning of summer, the beginning of fall, something that's often different. So when you get 30 holiday cards during December, yours isn't going in the trash or going up on a wall and they forget about you in about 2 seconds. So I mix it up, and the name of the game is staying in front of them, but with value, not annoying stuff.
And let's talk about that. So we covered the frequency. It's funny, Jeremy, it's exactly what I had down. This is the plan the top producers follow. Let's see if we can see it here.
I like it.
Where is it? Can you read it? 12. What is that?
Alike.
4 calls.
Yep.
4 calls a year, at least. Your A-list people, you might have 100 people that are like a small segment of your whole list, like get called every month. But for the most part, 4 calls a year, 4 mailers. And the mailers could be it could be anything. It could be a postcard. It could be a letter. It's really just what you feel is the best. But the marketing has to be always. Here's the test for the marketing. When you send something out, is would someone be willing to pay for it? So you never want to send marketing that someone wouldn't pay for. Like, for example, this little hangout we're doing is marketing, but someone could pay for it because it's valuable and it's useful. Never, ever, ever send out something that's just spam. You always want look at your marketing and ask, would someone pay money to receive this? And if it doesn't pass that test, you really got to rethink what it is that you're sending out. And we'll talk about that. But 4 calls a year, 4 mailers a year, like physical pieces of mail. I recommend 24 digital touches. So a digital touch could be anything. It could be an email blast, a video. It could be Facebook update, whatever. Probably for most people, what I find is the best is 2 educational video topics going out on the 1st and the 15th. Like 2 quick little educational videos you cut on your webcam and you send out to everybody because they see you that way and they relate to you. And video is able to communicate a connection. And if I look at the camera, do you feel closer to me now, Jeremy?
I feel too close with you, Frank.
Look right at the camera. Yeah, I know. Well, it communicates emotion. It communicates connection. Sure. It's something much more valuable to someone than reading an email or something, right? And then finally, I also threw in here too, and this is important for your A-list people too, is maybe 1 or maybe 2 like in-person client appreciation events. I see a lot of top producers doing 1 or maybe 2 in-person appreciation events that usually get their affiliates, their partners, to buy everything that's necessary for that to go, so there's no cost for it. That makes sense. So. And again, check your local RESPA laws when it comes to that. Disclaimer. All right. Actually, I don't think it's even local RESPA laws. I think they're national RESPA laws. So talk to your RESPA attorney. You would get any money from any vendors for anything. All right. So we talked about the number of times, roughly 30. Gary Keller and the Millionaire Real Estate Agent says about 33 times a year you have to stay in touch. The first reaction you're going to hear is like, isn't that a lot? Oh my goodness, that's like every other week and a half they're hearing from the realtor, right? So the question is, what do you send them? So let's talk about I'll share what we recommend here at Viral Marketing. It's worked very well, very, very well for ideas to send out. So the key piece with content is there has to be a couple of there's a couple keys to make it powerful. One is it has to be timely. Like, don't you hate it when you're getting content that you know has just been written for the whole year up front, and you know you're on some stupid drip campaign? Don't you want to know, like, this was created just now and it's fresh, and like I'm receiving this and it's timely, and like this is live, this is happening right now. Now people like the fact this is live. There's more value to this is live than maybe saying it being recorded, right? Because it's timely. There's value there. The next thing is there has to be a reason for people to receive it. Like, why are you sending this to me? Why are you sending this information right now? What's the reason? And usually needs to be a good story behind the reason. And then finally, you have to have something educational. So instead of just, hey, here's my new listing, or here's this or that, it's the concept of education-based marketing, of educating your customers, educating your database what's going on in the market, tips on buying and selling, that positions you as the trust authority and the expert, using the strategy of being the preeminent advisor. So this is what I have found works so well for content. And when I say it, it's going to go, oh, that makes sense, but it's going to sound so simple that it's not as cool. And the answer is question and answer always works best. Always. The subject line should be the question, the headline of the email should be the question, and then in the email or in the video you give the answer. And here's why, Jeremy, is that, and like I said, you need to start off with something timely. So you're getting questions all the time, for the case of, the great benefits of joining your brokerage. I'm sure you get questions from agents all the time in the office of what they could be doing in this situation, that situation, and to improve their business and to be more successful. If you just listen to those questions that you're so naturally answering already, just write down those questions. And since those are questions that people are really asking, that's real demand for content, that's a great video topic or a great topic to send out to your database. All right. But the other thing is there has to be a reason for sending someone something. And that's where the story of how the question came to be. So let's take a buyer or seller. Let's say you watch this, you're a real estate agent. So I was out with a buyer the other day, and they asked me, what can I do to make sure that I get this home? Because I know we're in a multiple offer situation. And as you know, in the market right now, I don't know if it is or isn't, but let's just say it is. In the market right now, it's very hot. There's a lot of buyers competing on a very finite number of homes. So if you're a seller, you're probably going to get a very good price. But if you're a buyer, you're competing for the home. So I want to share with you in this video today or in this email, what I shared with this buyer in case you or someone may be looking to buy or own a home someday. And here's the answer that I gave them. Digging that?
Yep, I like it.
And that's scalable. That's scalable. You can keep using that all the time for questions. So for example, in the case of our business, so hey, it's Frank Klesitz with Viral Marketing. We were, I was talking to a client the other day and they had this question, and I wanted to answer that question for you here today in this video. And then here's the answer. Here's what you want to know. So you see how it's timely? You see how there's a story behind the question, and to see how you can give it? Because here's the thing, so Jeremy, what would be easier? Jeremy, I want you to come up with 3 topics that you're going to share in a video to go out to your database. Or I want you to answer 3 questions that you commonly answer in your office to go out into a video. Which sounds easier to do?
The second one, that's how I started my video marketing online, was when I took over the job, I got the same question asked over and over again. So I just started doing a video on every one of those topics, and it's helped me, and it's helped the other agents leverage and learn quicker because they gain something from it quickly. And it's definitely worked big time. I agree with you 100%.
Cool. So when it comes to nurturing your database, let's go through some of those things. So let's talk about the phone calls. Well, actually, hold on. Remember how I said that the marketing backs up the phone calls? It gives you a reason to call. So let's just say for your 24 touches, and again, you can do whatever you want, but in the case of what we do here at Viral that we're very good at, that we find being very effective, is you set 1 appointment a month with yourself to record 2 short educational answers into the webcam just like this. Hi, it's Frank Klesitz, your local realtor in Philly, and I got a question the other day from a buyer, and they asked me blank, and here's the question, and I just want to take a minute here to give you the exact answer that I gave them, because it may help you, or you may know someone who may be looking to buy or sell a home, and it's just good to know because it has to do with the value of your home, which you always want to make sure those are going up, at least if you own one. So here's my answer today. That's how you start the video off. And after you do it a while, it rolls off your tongue like that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say you're sending the 2 videos out every single month, and that's just you round up all the emails that you have, schedule 1 appointment a month, cut 2 videos, and then you email them out. So that makes a lot of sense. Put up on Facebook, put up on LinkedIn, email it out. That's great. Okay. Let's talk about now the phone calls. What do you say on the phone call? What's the script that you teach the agents in the office, Jeremy, that when you're calling your database, what do you say when you're just calling to check in?
Well,
Whether or not you're following up on marketing or not.
the first thing I noticed with the videos is you actually know who opened the video if you're using the right type of program.
Correct.
So when we were sending out mass emails before, we had a low percentage of people actually opening them up or looking at them. With the videos, I can see who's opening it up, and my click-through rate went crazy on the videos compared to the emails, because a person can click on a video, and the next best thing to meeting a person is a phone call or a video, because they get to see your face. You brought that point up earlier in the day, right? Earlier in the call.
Well, they feel the human emotion.
Yep.
That's next. Mm-hmm.
So that right away really opens up the phone call if you're using a video compared to an email.
So
the second part of it.
Well, hang on. So what you talked about there is a little bit different. I want to frame this here. So you talked about just your whole database randomly throughout the year. So you get 4 phone calls and 24 videos. All right.
Yep.
Just 4 times a year, call them just in any random. Just make sure they call 4 times.
Yep.
Don't care how you do it. Just call them. What you shared, which is a key part of the plan we have here, is when you send that email out, you can track who took time out of the day to watch the video or click a link in the email. Now, certainly, instead, you probably would want to prioritize your phone call follow-up with those individuals, because they've kind of expressed that they may be interested in something about real estate by clicking on some link in one of your emails, go back to your website, taking time out of their day, right?
Yep.
And you can actually prioritize your phone call follow-up with them. And the script that we would recommend for that is, hi, this is Frank. I'm your local realtor. I see you subscribe. Catch that? I see you subscribe to some of the educational videos that we send out from time to time on what's happening here in the market. Question, are there any questions I can answer for you in an upcoming video? Or do you happen to know anyone who's maybe buy or sell a home?
It's very simple
So
and
the key there is you can follow up using I see you subscribe. So now, if you can prioritize your phone call follow-ups that way, that helps. What about if you don't have any videos going out and you're just kind of calling up cold? Like, I'm just going to call a friend of mine from 4 years ago that I've never talked to. What do you say?
So if you call a friend from 4 years ago you've never talked to, you have to bring humor into it when you make the phone call of some sort, because it's going to be very awkward. So when they call up, just say, Frank, it's Jeremy, man. It's been 4 years, man. I apologize I haven't stayed in touch, but just wanted to give you a ring and see what's new. And secondly, see if you need any help on any real estate needs. You know, I work over here at Coldwell Banker, and if you don't know, that's what I do over here. This is what we're doing right now in the marketplace, and just was curious if you were looking to buy or sell a house, or if anybody you knew was looking to buy or sell a house. And if you had any questions on the marketplace, man, just really want to do a better job of staying in touch. And I apologize I haven't done that good a job of staying in touch. Something
I like the apology angle. That's good.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to do a better job of staying in touch. I'm in real estate now. I'm selling houses. I really believe I can do a darn good job at it of getting people a good price, whether they're buying or selling. So I just wanted to call you up and say, man, I really feel bad for not staying in touch like I should have, but I want to. Would that be all right? And the thing is, it's much more about the confidence and the mindset of you really are valuable in people's lives. And then you start kind of get really involved with some personal growth stuff there, but you know, it's more about how you come across with what you say than maybe necessarily what you say at times. So we have the phone calls, we have the marketing. Any other tips you can share about how to better nurture a list and what to do?
Yes. So you were just talking about calling people you haven't talked to in a while. Mm-hmm. Mike Ferry taught us before is don't take yourself so seriously. You know, bring some humor into it, and don't be afraid. I sat by a guy today when we were hitting the phones this morning, and he called people out of his phone. He had no idea who they were, and the phone call was, "Hey, it's Jeremy over here at Coldwell Banker, man. I got you on the phone. I'm trying to work on my database, updating it, stay in touch better with people, and I just want to know, how do we know each other?" And the guy just started laughing. He goes, "I have no idea. Where'd you work at? Where I worked at?" Next thing you know, the guy goes, "You know what? I'm not looking, but one of my friends is looking. Why don't you give him a ring? They both found out they worked at Apple 3 years together ago, but they didn't remember each other. It's hilarious. So just don't take yourself serious. Just put yourself out there. It's okay. It's okay.
We had a client that exported their whole cell phone. So imagine all those contacts over all those years, and put them into Mojo with a script just like that.
Yep.
Isn't that incredible? I mean, that takes some serious guts.
Yeah, I have a girl that set an appointment on an outgoing referral. She met a guy at a retreat in Las Vegas before when she was in the medical field, and she had the guts to call him. I give him credit, and she got an outgoing referral out of it. Most people would just delete the phone number because they don't know him. But I told her if he says no, you made $40 because we keep track of our no's. If a person's really focused on their recruiting or prospecting, they're keeping track of their no's and their yeses. And a no's worth $40. You might as well make the phone call.
Okay. Oh, we're good, man. Sorry, as someone walking in here. That's all right.
No problem.
So yeah, man. So yeah. So what is so let's move on from, we talked about building the list and starting with the list that you have, and you have to go out and prospect every day to go meet new people. And you want to show up to those phone calls with value, usually offering something of value, saying, hey, you know, I'm Frank, I'm the local realtor here, and I got a report, let's say, on what's going on with the market, or I just want to stay in touch with you, let you know what the heck's going on with the value of your home, so you're informed, because a lot of the stuff you hear in the national media isn't correct. I'm really good at this. I'm really good at selling houses. What's your email address? I want to stay in touch. Get their email address.
Yep.
So you got to work and script and work on that role play. Then we talked about the nurturing, the 1 appointment a month to record 2 short question and answer videos, or just writing it out if you're more of a strong writer, and emailing them out to your database or posting them on Facebook. In addition to that, calling 4 times a year, whether it's by following up with the people who are calling or who are clicking the links in your emails, or just randomly 4 times a year, maybe 4 mailers, and maybe 1 or 2 personal events that you hold in the area. But like I said before, you can probably get your vendors to help pay for that. Let's talk now about, I think we already kind of talked a little bit more about this, but the prioritizing of the follow-up. I want to go a little deeper on this, because this is such an overlooked gold mine for people. Let's say that you're maybe an agent that's doing 30, 50, 60, a good number of deals, which means you probably have some type of online buyer lead generation going on, getting emails from online. Maybe if you're lucky, you have someone that's, you've hired and you trained a good prospect, maybe help you with the phone calls. The point is that you're in the situation where you're having a lot of inquiries. I wouldn't even call them leads, but you have a lot of people kick the tires of giving you emails. A lot of contact information, right? And when you talk to a lot of people, only a very small percentage of those people are looking to buy, and you focus, or sell, or you focus on that small percentage. But then you have all the rest. And as you know, you're a good agent, and you understand the value of a database, so you got their contact information, you brought them your database. But at some point, guess what happens? Your 100-person email list goes from 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. You have all these contacts, right? And that there's somewhere in there's a lot of gold of people that inquired maybe a year, 2, 3 years ago that may be interested in actually buying whatever it is that you sell. How do you go about, you find and identify those people without having literally to call 15,000 people and to go through the whole list, right? And that's where the concept of contact or lead scoring comes from. So the way professional companies do this with marketing automation software like Pardot or Marketo, and the small business space you have Infusionsoft. I believe you also have HubSpot. These are companies that specialize in marketing automation software. And here's what happens. So these companies have all these contacts coming in. What they're doing is they're sending you emails. Email here, and they're scoring you with like stars, literally. Like if you click this, it's 1 point. If you click this, it's 2 points. Based upon what you click and the frequency of your clicking and your interaction of going back to the website, it's all tracked online. Like you click in emails and the frequency of your clicks and you going back to the website, they're taking a huge bin of all those contacts, and the quality and the people who are engaged right now are raising to the top. And that's who the inside sales team or the salespeople are prioritizing their phone call follow-up, is the people that are engaging with the stuff the most. So one of the benefits of publishing educational information to your database. It's not just to stay in touch, not just to position yourself as the expert, and let people know that you're there. It's also good for lead identification. It's also good to nurture leads versus just past clients and stars of influence is where I'm heading with that. And if you're generating a lot of leads or inquiries online with emails, these types of things will help you prioritize who to follow up, because you could track, at least inexpensively, who's clicking that one link in an email that goes out through, say, a email service provider like iContact or Constant Contact or Vertical Response. If you get really crazy with it, you can go spend a couple $100 on those marketing automation packages, but you got to be pretty savvy to pull something like that off.
Frank, we teach our people that when they talk to the person for the first time, they only have a 2 to 3% chance of getting something out of them. 2 to 3%. So the rest of this game, 97 to 98%, is all about follow-up. And it's very important what you do with that follow-up. Most people lose that person after that first call. They get the call, they get the lead, they write it on a piece of paper, they write it on a sticky note, and the next thing you know, they're busy and it never goes anywhere. It never goes into a database. We teach them the systems, what to take that lead, where to put it in, and then I like what you guys do is how to stay in front of them with value, so that person's thinking of them. But I think the most important part, what I've learned so far in sales the years I've been doing, is most people have a hard time with follow-up, and they try to hit a home run instead of singles. This game is all about singles, not home runs. You need to build a relationship and not sell them on the first call.
Completely agree. Now you can take that a step further, and this is where let's talk about getting referrals, right? So you can build your own database, go out and get your own people, bring them into your database, nurture that database. Let's me nurture my database, Jeremy. Then
That's scary.
You want to prioritize your phone call follow-up. This is me calling the database, with the people that are most engaged. But that still requires you to go out there and grind every day to go build your list. There may be an easier way, and there is. And this is where a lot of agents that are very kind of more relationship savvy get some good hookups. For example, instead of reaching out to individual consumers, why don't you reach out to businesses that can refer you? What I mean by that is there's probably some home builders that you can get in with by working your relationship savvy skills. And the buyer leads that don't want to buy with a home builder could certainly go to you. Or if someone wants to buy one of those home builders' homes, they probably may have a current house they got to sell, and you get that referral. That's a great way to build a database when you have a referral partner just sending you new leads, that which could be from a builder. Do you know anyone in your office that has relationships with builders, or anyone has been successful with that, Jeremy?
Absolutely. We call them mayors, and then we also partner with companies. We have a program that we actually partner up with organizations, and they actually refer us as a preferred vendor for all their employees across the country, since we have over 700 offices. So that's a great referral sources for my agents, and I teach them leverage. At the end of the day, Frank, everybody's biggest challenge is you just run out of time. So within that time, you got to leverage everything. So if you can increase your mayors and increase those partners, the more business you can get, and that's what we do.
Good. We've had, one of the things is we've had some clients like almost hold a mastermind group with they would get together once a month, like 4 or 5, 6 of their partners, mortgage, home inspector, title company, and they would just share ideas, and they would hand out referrals to each other. But instead of you having to go out and relying from referral sources from your existing people that you know or past clients, you could think about getting referrals from a set number of person that constantly have people rotating through them, where they can throw you out people who may want to work. You can usually go, I know back in Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm from, they have human resource associations of human resource managers. So I know back in the Midwest, it's called HRAM. It's the Human Resource Association of the Midlands. And you can call them up, and they will sell you a list of all of the human resources people at all of the companies in that area. Boom, right? So now you have to have a way to reach out to them. And that's for another discussion. But there is a way to reach out to human resource managers and develop a relationship in some way where then when they got to bring in some executive or they got to bring in someone for the company and they want to help with their relocation package, that you're the realtor of choice to make that happen. I had a friend, or not a friend, but an acquaintance at least back in Omaha that their wife was the HR person for one of the major hospitals. So when they brought in big doctors to come work at the hospital, the husband would always get the business. Talk about a referral source, huh?
Absolutely, man. We focus on the HR directors and the C-ranking officials. Recently, I had an agent who didn't get business from a C-ranking official from a hospital, Frank, and it wasn't her fault. They found a short-term rental that was a better fit. And the person said to her, I feel bad we didn't use you, but we found this short-term rental. And you know what she said back to her as a good agent? The lady says, how can I ever help you? She said, you know how you can help me? You can get me into the XYZ hospital, and I like to be the referring source of real estate for the whole hospital. So now she actually gets the referrals from the hospital. All the new doctors are moving in the area, nurses, whoever. They refer everybody out to her. Talk about a big win, man.
That's great, man. So that's really it. I want to open up for questions of if there's anything that you want to know of what you could do to better build a database, work it for business, nurture it, and then prospect it. Basically, make offers to it or prospect it to be able to get get sales. So, what questions? Maybe I think you had a couple of other questions prepared, Jeremy. Is there any other questions that you had maybe on your sheet or something that you wanted to ask me?
Yeah, Frank. So they have a database. We talked about the database. Then they have to follow up with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The trouble I find with people having is the follow-up part. I find in life if you don't have someone else doing it, something important like that, it just falls by the wayside.
Yeah.
And you really need to hire, if it's you, another
Yep.
company,
I agree.
someone to actually do it. It's like going to the gym without a trainer, right? Why
Yeah.
do people typically get better shape with a trainer than going to the gym by themselves, right? So what tips can you give them to why not to try this on their own and go with a company, if it's you or a different company, so they can actually start doing it and doesn't get put on the D or C
Yeah.
list?
Well, it's really two questions. Is one, do you want to hire the marketing support to make this happen? And two is, do you want to hire someone that specializes in your lead follow-up to convert those leads to appointments for you? So the first question you got to ask is, okay, do you want to run your business as a business, or do you just want to run it as just you and maybe an assistant? And you're cool with that. And the thing is, that's going to be to each person's own. But whenever you find yourself doing something you hate doing, it's usually the first sign is like, I have to hire somebody to do this. So it is possible to outsource all of the marketing, all the lead generation, but the challenge is that requires a lot more skill, and you're going to take a big cut on your fees if someone hands you the leads, right? Because the business of real estate isn't necessarily selling the home; it's convincing somebody and finding someone who wants to sell a home. That's where the work is, you know. So, anyways, where I'm going with that is from the marketing standpoint is you have to decide if you want to do it yourself or you want to hire somebody. And for us, we can do a pretty good, incredible job for $525 a month. We have hundreds of clients around the country where we Skype in and we interview you to record 2 short educational videos, and we do the editing and we email them out, we post them online, and we give you the names of all the people who watch those videos. But even probably more important than that is if you do that and you don't have someone making the phone calls to follow up, it's probably going to fail. So let's talk about hiring somebody that's going to make the right calls for you. And this is somebody that you could ideally hire between maybe $12 to maybe $15 an hour that does nothing but making probably 60 to maybe 80 lead follow-up calls a day. Now, prospecting is different than lead follow-up. Prospecting, making hundreds of calls to find someone who's interested. Lead follow-up is much more meticulous. You have attempt 1, attempt 2, attempt 3, conversation, call back again, conversation, you got to review notes. You're working legitimate contacts. So your dials won't be anywhere near as high on lead follow-up calls than they would be on like cold prospecting, but it's much more meticulous follow-up. So here at Viral Marketing, we have an individual in our office is that when you acquire on our website or you call up or you're a referral, we have a database of a few thousand people that have inquired about our services over the years that say call me back in 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever it may be. We got people clicking on links in our emails. We got people coming in from new lead sources. I don't have time to manage that. Someone has to call those people. So we have a full-time dedicated person that does nothing for an hourly rate to call people saying what it started off was before we were more of a larger firm was, hi, this is Scott. Frank asked me to call you and would like to talk to you about what we could do to help you grow your business. Would you like to schedule time? That's really it. And they would just schedule appointments in the calendar. And then what you would do is, this is really talking business conceptually here, is that, you get your marketing going, so you have someone, calling and converting those leads to appointments, and eventually you have so many appointments, you look at your calendar like, I can't go in all these presentations today. Then you hire someone like this, Scott right there, that does all the presentations for you. So then you could focus on doing other things in your business. So that's kind of more business conceptual of, what's the difference between, I think I heard a Seth Godin presentation, what's the difference between Larry Ellison, that started at Oracle, what's the difference between Larry Ellison and who's the big popular writer? Give me a big popular writer. Who's an author that's really popular, Jeremy?
That's one of the books I read recently. I like Darren Hardy, just say. Whatever.
Okay, Darren Hardy. So, Darren Hardy, let's say, is just an author. So he's the technician of what he does, and he's just an author. So his job is to be a really, really good author. Larry Ellison's job is to hire people to do everything in the business. So his one thing is recruiting and hiring and developing others to do something, whereas, let's say Darren Hardy or a writer just wants to become a good writer on their own. That's a mindset shift. Is that, are you going to be the trainer and developer of others to do the work and systematize it, or do you just want to get really good at the work yourself? I think when you start thinking about hiring and developing people, you have to make that decision of which way you're going to go. So I know you're the hire and developer of others, as am I.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the two biggest challenges people have in this business is lead generation and follow-up. And I think what you guys have been doing and other companies have been doing for follow-up fixes that issue. And people are leaving too much money on the street with warm people that they know or their friends know because they don't stay in touch enough with value. Would you agree with that?
I would completely agree. And viral marketing is a great way. This isn't a sales pitch for Viral, but that's obviously my firm. Is that creating educational videos to stay in touch with your database is one of the best things you can do to stay in touch and add value. So I think that's pretty good, man. I think we got a lot of good things covered here on the Hangout today. If there's any questions, feel free to ask them. And Kim, I know you asked a long time here ago. I just saw this. Is there any research or data on what's most effective, email, direct mail, or phone calls? And what we answered earlier was a combination of all of them, where that backs up the phone calls, as the phone calls being the most important. But as far as research or data, I think it would just be empirical evidence of, you're not going to find very many people getting much business from their database unless they're calling. And they have a much better contact rate and better response when they call if they're being backed up by some type of educational marketing going out.
Frank, I got a question for you. Someone just asked me. So with the follow-up systems, when you're coaching the couple hundred people you do across the country, when's the best time to actually send out these videos or emails to people during the day?
We don't have any data on that.
Okay.
We don't know. I'm just telling you, we don't have any data on it. No one really knows. It depends upon your audience.
Okay.
So I'll tell you this. So we obviously have a lot of real estate agents in our list.
Yep.
Generally, someone who's not very busy and not selling lots of real estate is going to open it during the day because they have time, or they're even checking their email. If it's a top producer that maybe has taken their phone and given it to an assistant when they walk in the door for time management, has turned off their email, right, and has done nothing but, let's just say, prospect all day or go on presentations, the only time they have to ever watch anything educational is going to be like at 1 in the morning when the wife and kids and the family's in bed and it's late at night. So I'm not so much worried about the best time to send it, because the reality is how many emails do you get where it's like, ooh, I'll open it. Ooh, this is interesting. I'll flag it. I'll let it get pushed down with the rest, and I'll come back to it later. So there's a big difference between, when to send it. I don't think it makes very much of a difference. The question is when do people read it? And if it's long, if it's a lot of information, you're going to find a lot of people reading them on the weekends and nights.
That's good. All right, thanks. So I'm glad we did this today, Frank. I appreciate your time today with it. And we're going to do this on the second Tuesday of each month. I'll have a different guest each time, and we'll be talking about different subjects. And if you want some subjects covered, just shoot me an email at jbowers@cbpref.com or call me at 215-370-9107. And a lot of this information, we're going to post this video on my blog at thejeremybowers.com. It'll be on Facebook. So we'll get you this information back out to you guys if you want to rewatch it. And if you need help in the meantime, give me a call. I don't care where you work. Frank and I are here to help you. We're giving back. We were very fortunate to learn from the best in the country, and we'd like to help you grow your business where you're currently at. So we appreciate your time.
Great. All right, Jeremy. Thank you very much.